Howdy, this is Craig Grinding back again with an arena cutoff video for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today I cover round 1 results for the Nebula and Morningstar arenas, then jump into some round 2 predictions. So let's start with the results, taking a look at the far left hand corner here with the 5-star feature Nebula arena. You can see that Nebula came in at 20.6 million with the top 10% chart here at 9.2 million. This cutoff for Nebula is a little bit lower than what we've seen for some old recent 5-star champs, so it appears as if the dungeon, modded account, bans, those kind of things, whatever the case may be for those low Proxima and Corvus arena cutoffs, it seems to have carried over to Nebula's as well. Although Corvus's second round cutoff was very similar to what we've seen from other new champs. But anyway, we'll get into that with future new champs, but specifically Captain America's when it comes here in a couple days. But anyway, back to these results. When you jump over to the 4-star feature, same thing here with the Nebula. That 4.7 is a little bit lower than what we've been seeing for the past recent old 4-star feature champs, with a top 10% shard tier coming in at 3.6 million. Then another unexpected low number is that 2.2 million for Morningstar. Myself, as well as the community, those folks that came over and voted on my polls, thought that she'd be closer to like a Mephisto, Hela, Thor Ragnarok, that kind of cutoff, compared to kind of like Crossbones, Dr. Octopus, those other numbers. Those are kind of like the midterm numbers versus the higher end. But it looks like Morningstar's interest is right around that midterm kind of area. And that, again, too, could be an impact because of all the other content going on in the games, the dungeons, etc. We'll have to wait and see. And then when we jump over to the 3-star feature arena with Nebula, these numbers, the 3-star feature, those are pretty much the only constants in the game right now, for sure, when it comes to the arenas. These last couple between Proximas, Corvus, and now with Nebulas and Morningstars, we're just seeing some unexpected numbers jumping around a little bit, and so maybe there'll be some smoothing out here when people either get bored with the dungeons or they go away. Maybe there's account bans, the modded accounts, whatever. We'll see how this plays out over the next couple weeks. But one thing we can always pretty much bank on is how the 3-star feature arenas react. Very similar again here. You got the 3-star feature Nebula for 654,000 with the 11 to 25% chart here at 400,000. So compared to my predictions, because like I was saying at the beginning, these numbers were a little bit lower than expected. I didn't necessarily make the 10% cutoff for the 4-star or 5-star feature Nebula arenas. Came close, just a little bit above the 10%, but like I said, I always try to target that 10%, and then I was pretty much way off because I thought she'd be a high interest 4-star basic Morningstar champ, so that one was pretty significantly off. Compared when you look at the numbers between the 5-star Nebula and Morningstar, is actually an absolute off further with Nebula, but the thing is, because people already, the percentage-wise, when you're off a couple 100,000, when the total is only 3.4 million, that's a bigger percentage away than when you're dealing with 23 million. But anyway, regardless, none of them were within 10%, so they're all a big fat X. But when we jump over to the Nebula, I can bank on that. We can all bank on that. That's the one we all know is pretty much a dead on target. So anyway, when we jump into like what can we expect for round 2, hopefully these trends, and that's the, with round 1, it can always be a little bit of a crapshoot, especially with a lot of inconsistencies going on with the arena right now because of dungeons, account bans, etc. So, but hopefully with round 2s, those typically play out a little bit more as the trends show. So let's take a look at some of these trends. Now, when you take a look at the 5-star feature arena, you can see we've been steadily trending up. This is all, of course, before we got the dungeons in the account and the supposed potential account bans. Not saying for sure accounts were banned, but there's definitely some rumors that some were based off of modding for arenas. But anyway, you can see here that there's been the steady incline. And while in absolute these numbers were no longer up there, you know, we're closer to 20 million. One thing you do see between round 1 and round 2 in all cases is that these numbers went up a couple million. So we can pretty much we should expect the same thing with Nebula. Then you can see there's been pretty much a straight line with the top 10% shard tier. We did see the recent decrease, and so we can pretty much probably say it's going to be right around those same numbers. Then we jump over to the 4-star feature. You can see kind of similar to what we saw with the 5-star feature. You see each between round 1 and round 2, there's always an increase. So even though these numbers are, again, a little bit higher than what we saw with Nebula at 4.7 million this time, I think one thing we can pretty much bank on is what we'll see an increase from round 1 and round 2. And when you average these out, it was something like 8 million, 3 million, and 7 million difference, or sorry, 9 million difference. It's somewhere between 6, 7 million difference between round 1, or sorry, not million, hundreds of thousands difference between round 1 and round 2. We'll apply that over my prediction. Then we jump over to the 4-star basic for mid-interest champs, and so most recent Dr. Octopus, Kingpin, and Crossbones. You can see for the most part, they're pretty similar results. Now, Dr. Octopus, there was a bit of an increase, and I think that's because he was probably one of the better champs, whereas in Kingpin, the number was pretty flat, and even Crossbones, the number, he was kind of an old mid-interest champ, and there was even a slight increase in his. So I think we'll probably see a little bit of an increase similar to what we saw for Dr. Octopus with 11 to 25%. You can see that's pretty much a straight line at this point. And then lastly, kind of like clockwork, we know pretty much what to expect for the 3-star feature, at least for the champ cutoff. You can see there's been a little bit more spikes, hills and valleys when it comes to the 11 to 25% chart here. But minus that one Luke Cage kind of anomaly, it's pretty much been the common same line there that you see. So anyway, but the one thing you will see when you go back up to the 3-star feature blue line, you can see between round 1 and round 2 that there's always been a slight increase. I'm sure we can expect that again here with Nebula. So considering these trends in mind, here are my thoughts for round 2 predictions. I think for Nebula, her cutoff for the 5-star all the way on the left will come in at 22 million with the top 10% at 10 million. Jumping over to the 4-star feature, I think her cutoff will be 5.4 million with the top 10% at 4.5. Then we jump over to the 4-star basic Morningstar arena. I think her cutoff will go up a couple 100,000 like we've seen with like Dr. Octopus most recently and even Crossbones a little bit. I think her cutoff will be 2.4 million with 11 to 25% at 1.5. Then lastly, I think, you know, kind of like clockwork, the 3-star feature, Nebula, I think you'll see that slight bump. Her cutoff for the second round will be 690,000, sorry, and the 11 to 25% at 500,000. These predictions are for the veterans bracket. What I always like to do is also give kind of like a grind target. These are the numbers, the cutoffs that I actually think they'll land on. If you're in the veterans bracket, these are the numbers I think you really need to push to if you want to make sure you get the champ. The Nebula 5-star, you want to get a 24 million, 6 million for the 4-star Nebula. For Morningstar, go to 2.5, 2.6 million. And lastly, for the 3-star Nebula, go over 700,000. You should be in good shape. And again, these grind targets are for the veterans bracket. When it comes to the intermediate and beginner, there's just not a ton of data. I do appreciate those folks that take the time on my channel and the comment section and provide kind of like what they've been recently getting. So I appreciate that. Based off of that, I did update the 4-star feature beginner bracket number to around 900,000 based off of some of the input provided by those folks in the community who watch my videos. So thank you very much again for sharing your results. Anybody who take the time to do that, you definitely do help because you're the only source of cutoff information right now for these brackets. It's a very volatile brackets. People move from one bracket to the next all the time, eventually joining us all in the veterans bracket. So these are just some very rough numbers to kind of consider because of all that volatility. But anyway, the 3-star feature, 245,000, the 4-star basic, 750,000, and the 4-star feature to grab that Nebula, 900,000. Intermediate bracket for the 3-star feature, 525, for the 4-star basic Morningstar, 1 million, and lastly for the 4-star feature Nebula, 1.2 million. Again, these are just very rough estimates based off of my own results that I saw many months ago, as well as folks that have been providing me some input here more recently. So anyway, these are my thoughts for these brackets, and again, here are my grind targets, and here are my rough estimate cutoff numbers for the veterans bracket. Would love to hear your opinion. If you have any questions or builds or feel differently, throw it on down in the comment section. We can definitely talk about them there. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, I'd really appreciate you to click that thumbs up button. If you like this and other videos I have on the channel, would really appreciate a subscribe. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and have a great day.